Hello everybody, my name is Julian or Flow Graphics, and how cool is that intro? Especially the music in the intro was really awesome, and the reason why it sounded so awesome is because we have a music composer working with us on Lands Island now. His name is Lars. I will have all of his information in the description below if you want to check him out. He's done some amazing work. I know a lot of you have been asking about sound effects and music. So that track you heard in the video, a bit of a taste, but that was made from scratch by Lars for Lands Island. Yeah, look, this is all about the combat update. Let's get straight into that part of the video. So I'm going to take us from the beach here to the little training ground that you saw me muck around in the introduction. You may notice, don't pay attention too much to the level design. This is actually an old version of the town level that I'm playing in now. So it's actually been updated a fair bit. It's almost finished now. I know I had a video, I think it was last video, the video before that. I was showing everybody the town. Yeah, so that's almost done. Lots of updates there. But yeah, look, let's get to the combat. The first part of the combat is the hotbar. So there's now a brand new hotbar that looks nice and pretty, and we have lots of pretty icons for all the weapons. And yeah, so it consists of the sort of 5-slot hotbar. We also have some abilities, sort of like a MOBA style where it's sort of QWER, and then our health bar. So the abilities here actually pop up and depend on what sort of weapon or item you have selected. And you can see some of them don't have all abilities. Some items only have a certain amount of special attacks, but also all of them have what you call like a basic attack. So for example, the sword, I can just right click anywhere on the screen and he will just sort of swipe in that direction. If I click again while I'm in the middle of that attack, he'll do a combo. So he does like a 2-hit combo. And we can string together as many attacks as we want in the combo. Most weapons will probably just have sort of 2 or 3 hit combos. But maybe there'll be some really cool weapons where you can string together a massive combo and then the last attack does huge damage or something. So that's the sort of the whole idea behind the weapons in Lands Island. They're just very different. All of the weapons are very, very different, and you get more different and more sort of depth to weapons as the game progresses. So it's a lot about skill, and it's a lot about sort of finding the perfect weapon that suits your skill and suits your play type, and that's how you can become really good at the combat. So showing the different weapons, we have the sword there, so we have the 2 swipes, and then we also have our little running attack. So if I just stand still, it just sort of makes you run. Otherwise, if you're already running, it will just continue running. And then we have a sort of a heavy sort of spin, just a still one. And all of these animations are just sort of temporary for now, so don't judge the animations too much. They're going to be reworked pretty soon. But if I go to the hammer, we have our basic attack, which has an absolutely crazy animation. I think his neck like snaps when he swings it. It's pretty funny. But with the hammer, there's actually a charge attack. So if I just do a basic hit like that, you can see it did 35 damage. But if I click and hold, he sort of winds it up, and then he does a big hit. So it did 68 there. If I hold it up even more, I missed. He does. There you go. I did the full 70. So there's all different weapons that have different styles of attacks and different sort of speeds of attacking. We have a spear here. Ignore where his hand is on the spear. So what's going to happen is he'll hold the spears in the middle, but then when you do an attack like the W, his hand will slide down to the bottom of the spear and have that full range. A lot of the spear attacks will be two-handed sort of animations as well. For now, it's just easier just to make it look like this. But yeah, we've got that same similar swipe to the sword that I did before, but obviously it's got a lot more range, the spear. It's got some different damage and some different effects. I probably will make the spear even longer, because I guess the whole sort of reason you use the spear is to be able to poke people at range, which is pretty cool to do stuff like this. That's a lot of fun, actually. But I think it needs to be a little bit longer, because that's the whole point of spears. So we've got that. It may look like a mace, but it's actually a bow. I just haven't made the icon for bows yet. So I can just right click and sort of hold down the mouse button, and then we can sort of aim. Afterwards, maybe I'll include some sort of stepping animation with his feet so he just doesn't slide around. And then you can sort of let go to fire. And different arrows can have different different bows, can have different fire speeds and all sorts of different arrows and effects. And we also got 2 abilities for the bow. So W does like a multi-shot, fires 2 arrows, and you might also notice that the abilities have cooldowns. So if I hit the W again, it sort of fills up the little UI container. When that's full, it's ready to fire again. And all these abilities, I'll make little icons, so the icons will sort of flash on when the ability is ready to go. And the second one, the E, does like a little fan shot, which is pretty cool. And all of these are just sort of really, really, really easy to customize and make. So I'm gonna basically make a new bow just to show you the sort of the system that we made to sort of make all these items work. So for example, the way bows work, if I go onto the player here, we have our fisherman bow, which are all scriptable objects. There's a whole bunch of sort of generic information like the icon and the prefab, the name and all that sort of stuff. Some of these things are old things as well, so ignore that. And then we also have a bunch of stats, and then we have our combos. So the way the attacks work of all the weapons they actually are scriptable objects. So just the normal basic fire is a scriptable object, and then the 2 special attacks are scriptable objects. So you can see if I click between these, they have different knockback forces, they have different cooldowns and attack speeds and damages, and we can set this per attack. So different attacks can have different animation speeds, different amounts of damage, different cooldowns, different knockbacks, all sorts of stuff, and it's all customized. And so it's really easy because I could make this attack apply to a different bow, and it would be pretty quick and easy to set up a new bow. So one thing I'll show you is the way that arrows work. So we have our fan shot. This is our sort of basic prefab for a fan shot. So for example, if I go to my spread angle here, I'll go 180, and then I'll go to the shots and the spread, and let's do 12. And now if I play the game again, and I do the arrow, or the special attack, which is the E, you can see it shoots off 12 arrows at a 180 degree angle. And it's really, really easy to customize all that stuff about the bow. Or if I go to the rapid fire, let's say we do, this is gonna be absolutely ludicrous, but let's say we'll do 20 arrows. So now if I fire the rapid fire, that was really cool. I've never actually done that before to that many arrows. So it shoots 20 arrows out of his head. That's really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that you can actually do. Another thing too is you can actually make arrows sort of shoot other projectiles. So I'll show you this later, but basically what it means is you can actually make the rapid fire shoot sort of rapid fire shots, and then when those rapid fire shots hit something, they then spawn fan shots, and those fan shots spread out. So there's all sorts of really different cool effects that we can do. And the way that we sort of structured it is really, really easy. So I could make a new bow or a new sort of weapon in seconds really, because of the sort of whole scriptable object system. So for example, let's just go to the golden hammer. So our basic attack here. So if I, let's just say, do 0 knockback, 0 lift force, and then we make the attack speed something stupid like 3. If I then go to my hammer, he'll attack really quick. Which just oh man, that's hilarious. But the dummy doesn't actually get any force applied to it. You can see the dummy, it's moving because I'm the actual player's hitting into it. But now if I add the knockback to 10 and then make the animation speed back to a subtle 1, you'll see it's back to normal, but the dummy actually moves a bit. It gets some force applied to it when I hit it. So it's really, really easy to customize all these things. And that's the whole idea behind this combat system, was making it so it's very modular, so we can make a whole bunch of weapons that it's not like other games. That's something that Martin and I really, really wanted to sort of be important about the combat from the get-go, is it's not like sort of Skyrim and a thousand other games where you just have a sword and then there's a better sword that has more damage. And then there's a better sword than that has a bit more damage and a bit more attack speed. And then there's a hammer, which just generically has less attack speed and more damage. Or they're just really, really basic sort of things where there's pretty much always like a meta and there's always a best weapon in the game. The whole idea of Lens Island is there's no tiers. There's just sort of families and groupings of weapons. So all of these colors are different families. They just belong to different sets. None of them are really better than the other. They're just all different and they all do different things. And it just depends on what sort of play style you have and what you prefer doing. So if you're doing a dungeon that has certain enemies in it, or if you just simply like the look of certain weapons, you could stick to a sword and do a lot of this sort of close combat. Or you could use a spear. Hit 3, use a spear and you can do this sort of more sort of further away spiky combat. Or maybe you're a bow person and you use bows. Or you could do both, you can have a bow and then swap to your hammer and then smack people with your hammer. So the way the hotbar will work, by the way, in Lens Island, your hotbar is sort of modular. So it won't just hold weapons, it will also hold food items and shields. So basically you have your like an axe, a pickaxe. You have all the different types of weapons. Axe and pickaxe are for resource gathering. And that will be like a big part of the weapons, because you sort of have to strategize of what you want to take in your hotbar for certain sort of journeys and for certain quests and dungeon runs. And there might be some, for example, a hammer. Most hammers will probably be pretty good at destroying stone, but you can't chop trees, you can't do anything else. You can just sort of kill people and then you can destroy stone. Or you could take a pickaxe that will actually give you more stone. If you mine a stone with it, and it might mine it a lot quicker. So it's a bit more efficient to take a separate pickaxe, but maybe if you don't have the room in your hotbar, you can't really afford it, so you just go with something else. So there's a lot of different sort of play types that we're trying to cater to, and we're trying to make the game quite dynamic. So two people could have completely different playthroughs of the game because they use completely different weapon sets and they have very different styles of combat. And that's the whole sort of idea. Look, I think it's about 50 weapons, or probably around 60 now that I've made like all the models and icons for. If I quickly show you, so yeah, if I go down to the weapons here, all of these icons are they're all weapons and shields and items that are sort of in the game ready to go. So there's tons and tons of weapons and things in the game already. I'm just sort of showing you 5 of them, and there's even going to be more. There's going to be a lot more. So the whole idea is there's a lot of diversity, but there's also a lot of progression throughout the game. So you can collect certain sets of weapons, which is really cool. If you prefer different if you like NPCs and you make friends with certain NPCs, it can become a lot easier to collect their sort of weapons that they give, and you can collect sets and you can sort of customize them and do all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot more to show you further down the line, but I think that's pretty much it for the combat update. There will be a sound update coming soon, a bunch of other things. My hard drive crashed and blew up two days ago. So yeah, I just sort of woke up to work on Lens Island and everything just started crumbling before my eyes. So yeah, look, I lost a fair bit of work for a whole bunch of personal stuff and photos and things. But I've definitely learnt my lesson to back up my files a bit more often. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the combat update. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, if you guys have any sorts of thoughts, ideas, opinions, let me know in the comments. I think I told you sort of a bit of areas that aren't completed yet. But if you do have any ideas, regardless, please let me know. I absolutely love getting all of your feedback, and I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the look of it. Don't be too critical, because all of the visuals and everything will be changed, and I am just sort of showing off the system. So there's a lot of refinement and a lot of work to do in the future. But the bones and the sort of the structure is there, and I think it's a really, really good structure. I'm really, really excited for what we can sort of make going forward. So as always, everybody, I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.